if you look at both of these players, ZVZ, Sybil does have a very, very strong base about him in comparison to Golden. Golden, during the America qualifiers, because he qualified through America, actually went 4-3 against Gusu user in the final. So his ZVZ can be shaky, still pull out wins. So we'll have to see how he's going to fare in game number 2.
So here down on the bottom left, we have the man who is currently leading the series. It is Quantix Golden.
And spawning up in the top right-hand corner here as our blue Zerg. He goes by the name of TSL Symbol.
Are we going to see anything like a 10 pull out of Quantix Golden? The answer is yes, Kalaris. How dare you ever doubt?
Golden, Golden, Golden. I'm sort of hoping. I guess it'll just be that defensive temple again, right? Like he uses it, doesn't get Zerglings out unless he sees something absolutely crazy going on, and from that point on, he can be very, very happy in the mid game. Should be okay.
I mean, it is kind of weird to think about the way that the early queens benefit so much. For instance, if you go for a pretty standard 14 or 15 pool, if your opponent goes for an early expand and an early geyser and gets his pool, you actually have more larva by going for pool first and then your hatch, then versus the other guy who goes for hatch first and then the pool. It seems counterintuitive, but you just gain so much benefit by getting that very early queen. And here we see Golden, once again, hanging at 12 drones, about to start his queen production. And what will he do with that supply? Looks like he's just going to droning. So yeah, he just wants to make sure he has a tremendous larva lead.
Yeah. It's something that, again, it's becoming quite popular now, and I don't mind it too much. Personally, I'm a happier chap when it comes to the standards of just, 14 pool, 14, 15 hatch or something like that, to then just keep yourself stable anyway, because, 14 pools can actually keep you pretty well defended as well.
Yeah, I mean, I do like a 14 pool opening. It's the standard. You get a good amount of the lings, you get a reasonably early expand, yada yada. But the one thing that Symbol's doing that's a little bit cute in this game is he's gotten his gas geyser quite a bit earlier than normal. So he's essentially saying, whatever shenanigans you're up to, I'm going to try to dominate with a counter swing using Zergling speed. We saw him do that exact technique in the original game number 1 on Daybreak to some pretty healthy success.
We'll see how he's going to actually go for this. As for now, we still have Symbol just placing his overlords everywhere, as do we have Golden. Golden spots his opponent's expansion, while Symbol does not just yet, but will get a good indication as to what's on the way in a second, and even tries to poke away at some of the overlords here. So both players just kind of getting their gas going and just trying to find themselves some speed, which is always nice.
Yeah, I'm a gigantic fan of speed Zergling timings in this matchup. Because if you even do something as simple as, oh yeah, look at Symbol doing that. Look at Symbol's main base. 1 drone in the gas. Yes, please. I love this. This is ideal for large Zergling timing attacks. Why? Because you build lots of drones, and then suddenly you flood Zerglings. Do a surprise attack with around 30 to 36 lings. Maybe you win. Generally, you don't win with that. But in the off chance that you don't, you have just enough gas to get a layer and go back to droning. So it's a perfect way to out-layer your opponent.
It's really cool as well in defensive mind if you see your opponent actually going for those big timings like you mentioned, because you do just get that little extra for the Baneling Nest, which is cool. And then from there you have a little bit for the defensive Banelings, which technically if your control is better than your opponent's, you don't need as many Banelings as they would need to actually go for the aggression. So it's a nice little tactic. And actually, I like Golden's Baneling Nest positioning really nicely because it adds to the extra defense that you're naturally. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and I do have the tendency to like, I don't, I like it when the hole in the donut is larger. I don't know a better way to describe that, right? The Baneling Nest is touching the hatchery, so this is forcing the Zerglings to run around for a longer amount of time. Doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but those queens constantly need to be wary of pulling back to block the ramp. If Zerglings go into the drone line and the queens move to the left, this Baneling Nest means that the Zerglings just need to spend an extra half second, 1 second to move around it. That's plenty of time for the queens to get back into position because the hole is bigger in the donut.
I get it, man. I get it. You explained that really well, I must admit. So Zerglings are on the way to do some poking. Will actually be forced back for now. Zerglings will get killed off eventually by... Oh, but he does spot the layer, so that's a really nice scout there by Symbol, also spotting the extra gases going down. And Leia with 4 gases on the way can sometimes be a big tell.
Yeah, a lot of players will do this exclusively when they are going for Mutalisk. Symbol, I think, is an example of a player who many would scout and go, oh yeah, this guy's totally going Mutalisk. However, we are seeing that he is doing something that is considered very modern. Idra has did this with great success at BWC. Many Zergs are starting to pick it up. It is the dump all your guys into gas and go straight for Infestor and every upgrade imaginable for the Roach, expanding, but still not building Roaches. It's like the everything for the Roach, but not the Roach style. It's one of these things that has arisen as players have sort of figured out how to stay alive and defend against all the things that can be thrown at them. So it looks like Golden is going for the more traditional Spire tech. But yep, Symbol's doing the everything for Roach, but not Roaches. There's the attack upgrade, cool. The Infestation Pit, the speed.
And I mean, with what Golden's doing here, he can quite easily control a lot of the map. There's big possibilities that he can use to actually deny his opponent's third eventually. He's going to poke there with Zerglings right now, but eventually once those Mutas come along, then Symbol's going to be constricted a little. It's going to be interesting to see how he's going to fend this off, but as you said, with the style he's picking here, he gets his Infestation Pit so quickly against the Spire style, so he can actually shut down this with Fungal Growth potentially.
Yeah, I do like the answer of Fungal Growth. Just constant refungal, with the Queens to be able to deal with that excessive mutas, but Golden playing it outright. This is what's so cool about aggressive styles. You'd think that if you're being aggressive in any other matchup, what do you do behind it? You will be building drones, but with Mutalisk Zergling, the only way you can defend this bottom hatchery is with just keeping them off you. So in fact, doing nothing but building Zerglings, staying at around 45 to 55 drones for a while. Golden will even likely build another few extra Zerglings here, just to continue to apply that pressure.
Yeah, I like what Symbol's doing, though. He spotted the Spire eventually with his scouting, and now he is throwing down those spores. He's not overreacting, though, which is nice to see. He's only throwing down 3 spores right now. I've seen people go wild and throw down like 7 or 8 spores, which is just insanity. But he's also getting the Infestors as well, realizing and knowing that once his opponent pushes out, that should be okay. I think what Golden will end up doing, though, is just getting those one batch of mutas and then deviating, because you can't really go prolonged if your opponent's got Infestation Pick tech this quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Mutalisks are the classic, I'm building mutas so that I can go Infestor Roach. And yay, we see a Roach Warren going down for Golden, so everything's pretty much going as expected in that regard. And the reason this makes sense, the Mutalisks are transitioned into Infestor Roach, is look at that third base for Golden. He has his geysers up way the heck earlier, so
yeah.
He is going to be able to start out-mining his opponent, but I'm still not sure it matters, because look at Symbol, who got his early 4 geysers, now has, 5 Infestors with 2 more on the way. I mean, Golden hasn't even begun his Infestation Pit.
Yeah, it gets to the point where it sort of normalizes, right? Both players hit that point. They hit it at different speeds, but they certainly hit it, and then it kind of continues from there. And wow, actually, he has so many Infestors right now. 7 Infestors this quickly out. That's pretty impressive here from Symbol.
Yeah, I mean, Symbol's doing everything on paper right. You won't guaranteed get your third base, but as long as you're trying to out-infestor your opponent, you don't even really need that many Roaches. Just keep upgrading Roaches, getting everything for the Roaches except the Roaches, and the one little piece of the puzzle that's missing for Symbol is his expansion and a macro hatch. But wow, look at that really early Hydralisk Den. Symbol is going to be going for a +2 timing attack to sync up with that.
Yeah, the Mutalisk now trying to poke in, trying to kill off what they can, but, I mean, wait a minute. As for now, we will have him pulling back in a second. I mean, he can't really continue this.
Oh, the natural. Golden just ripping those Infestors apart. That went as poorly for Symbol as it could have gone.
Pretty darn scary. You cannot do that at any point in time. Right now, we will have him trying to pull back here, but oh dear me, that was a lot lost there for, I would say, very little. Not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, the Mutalisk Zerglings, they don't even count as units at this point in the time. They're not real people.
Yeah.
You can lose as many Muta Zerglings as you want, and as long as you are behind that, building an excess of Roaches and Infestors, you're in a comfortable position. Golden even did have the opportunity to take a 4th base because, hell, if the opponent is going only Infestor and trying desperately to expand, then there's no way he can attack a 4th base. So that is a way to stretch the edge of that Ling Mutalisk, but it looks like Golden is just going to be doing the sort of typical play, building as many Roaches as he can, trying to catch up in the Infestor count, and it looks like he's going to be able to do it.
I'm so impressed at how many Roaches actually Golden's got out this quickly. I mean, it's 180 supply right now to 143. Symbol does have the higher infestor count, and with that 4th going down now, he should be okay. If he actually takes an engagement and locks his opponent's Roaches down, but they're on the way across the map here right now. And
yeah,
I mean, Golden has to be a little wary of all those Infestors.
Yeah, Golden is going to actually be in a perfect spot so long as he just avoids a big blast from those Infestors. Right now, it's 16 Roaches and 10 Hydras versus the 40 Roaches for Golden. Golden does have that mobility edge with those faster units, so he can indeed get those hatcheries up, but Golden desperately needs to start pumping out a lot of Hydras to keep up with Symbol in that regard. I mean, Symbol is re-roaching himself, re-infestering himself, and there's 10, 12, 14 more Roaches that are storming on down the front, so looks like Symbol is gearing up once again for a +2 timing attack, but his window's kind of closing rapidly now that more Hydras are popping out for Quantix Golden.
Yeah, and with his +2 on the way, he has to actually kind of consider that as well. Right now, Symbol is moving out to the middle of the map here, trying to find his opponent's location pretty quickly. But there's a nice concave being set up there just for a second there by Golden, so he has to be very careful. He's going to lead with 1 Infestor. Nice catch, actually, of 5 Infestors with 1 Fungal Growth. Cannot chain it, though, and here comes the engagement. Roach is pushing forward, trying to kill off what they can. Symbol here. Oh my god, those Fungals.
Wow. Oh, these are some excellent fungal growths from Symbol, but I'm worried about the concave that Golden has set up for himself. There are literally tons of units for Golden, swarming in from all angles. Yet again, the tactical engagement goes in Golden's favor. I'm starting to like more and more these low fungal, high infested Terran style Zerg players. Symbol looks like he's not ready to give up the fight yet, still has a few fungals left in him, and with a pretty thin number of Roaches is able to amazingly clean up the small number of units at the end.
No, you're right. I have to echo your sentiments pretty quickly there, because the higher infested Terran counts, you know, if they end up getting out and end up living, they actually equalize up the DPS pretty darn quickly with that. And I mean, even if they don't actually go for the DPS, then tank a lot anyway. He's going to push him once again here. Golden pushing into an opponent that has a smaller reinforcement location path even, might actually find himself on a bit of a sticky spot. He's throwing down infested Terrans as well, though, but I think Symbol might be able to push him back here.
This is not going well for Golden. I'm surprised he's trying to engage here, and this is exactly what caught him off guard in the game number 1. Golden almost threw his advantage away by continually hurling units at an opponent who would be able to easily defend, and their Symbol got off the very clean, straightforward defense. Tons of opportunities for Symbol to have retreated in that, but for some reason he elected, no, I shan't do it, and now it looks like Golden is going to have to regather himself up in that unit count. We see that Golden has 4 Infestors versus the 6 of Symbol. Don't know how that happened. And 17 Hydralisks for Symbol.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that really rises, especially since neither player right now is really committed to proper Carapace upgrades. So, as such, if you've got more Hydralisks out, hey, guess what? You're going to do a ton of DPS to that army. And look at this Symbol going for the counter.
Now this is a slick little move from Symbol. He ran right up into the mid-map, and then what did he do? He only sent the Roaches. He pulled back with almost all his Hydralisks, and now is taking another expansions in the midst of all this. This is just great, solid, guaranteed damage Zerg versus Zerg technique, and now we see that the 4th base is wide open for Golden. I mean, even a Roach or 2 would have been able to take out some free units, but Symbol is all using this as an opportunity to swap out that supply of Roaches with things like Infestors and Hydralisks, and we just see that it's a much beastlier composition from Symbol. Golden is essentially an only Roach force.
And he's also getting the Hive as well, which is really cool to see, because most of the time you're saying, oh, well, Hive tech, great, he's just going to be able to get Broodlords and Ultralisks, right? Well, I mean, most of the time in ZVZ, you can actually see it coming out purely for +3 range weapons. That's how undervalued that upgrade is at this point in people's minds. It's so important to actually have that out, and it adds so much DPS to things like Hydra, Roach, Infestor. It's insane.
It looks like the fungal manages to connect, but it wasn't a strong fungal, just whacked at a few Hydralisks, which will be able to heal up most of that in a pretty short period of time. Golden's still trying to find the money angle, and I like your point about the +3 attack. In fact, going for Broodlords too quickly in this matchup backfires just due to the strength of Hydras and Infestors, so you do see Golden trying to find some angle where he can decide to position his units, but Symbol's continuing to worm his way forward, and it looks like Symbol again backs off, doesn't want to run that risk of being cut in half.
I think Symbol's played this out really nicely. Look at this Golden actually going for a little bit of a run by on his own. That's not that many Roaches, though. I don't think those will really be able to do the amount of damage that Symbol's run by did. And right now it will stick behind that gas geyser. Meanwhile, Golden just poising himself in the middle of the map. But actually, I want to come back to all of these run bys later on, because there's so many dynamics about a run by like that that can actually be pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Cloud Kingdom is one of the few bases where if you are up on expansions, you feel more anxious than a player who's behind on expansions because it's so difficult to defend from all the angles.
Yeah.
This push is so risky from Golden. He's just trying to bait Symbol up into that fourth or into the natural and third base neck, and then upon doing that, he's going to do a strike at the fourth base. Excellent tactic right there by Golden Light, and look at this move. All of Symbol's units are in the wrong position.
Uh-oh, he has to rally in the back pretty darn quickly here. There's a lot of fungals, but look at that concave that Golden has right now.
Oh my!
Terrans are on the way for both players.
Look at that concave, Galaris. I cannot believe every single one of Golden's Roaches are right there at the front. And we see Symbol desperately trying to pull his units back to get somehow some level of involvement with that other backpack, but the fact remains that the superior Hydralisk count of Symbol's really shining through in this battle, and he's been able to take out this near-death army from Golden. Tenfold. Seriously, that was insane. The way in which he won that battle despite that kind of concave coming out, because he just has +2 armor, because he has that many Hydralisks. All of these things worked in tandem for Symbol. He didn't even kill the hatchery. He didn't kill that, so he didn't even damage it in any way. Golden's going up to a great Aspire right now, but I actually think that Symbol, if he wants to, after this +3 hits, after he gets those infested in Terran, after he gets those infestors down, he could actually hit a pretty sweet timing. This is going to be very difficult for Golden to hold off, and one of the biggest reasons for it is the infested Terrans. I mean, the amount of damage the infested Terrans do is directly based on that fire rate. So getting an upgrade just makes them deal wildly more damage. I mean, Roaches, sure, they gain +2 damage, but the fact is that they just fire so dang slowly, it doesn't really have that much of an impact in the way that the Infested Terran +3 range attack upgrade does. So when Symbol gets those Infestors out and starts favoring the Infested Terrans, he is going to be able to easily tip the balance in his favor. We see that it's once again heavily going to rely on how those Infested Terrans pan out.
Yeah, you're right, because Symbol here, he has just a little bit more energy on his Infestors than his opponent does on his. So even across all of that, once he actually pushes in here, he's going to be in such a good spot. And also, he has an extra 10 supply in his army in comparison to his opponent because of the drone counts here. So Symbol right now is pushing up into his opponent's natural.
Whoa.
And Golden has a very, very hard choice to make.
Oh, Golden, does he counter? Does he go for it? He's just lost his Roach Warren. And we see that it looks like Golden is gone for his Broodlords a little bit too early. Symbol is now just wreaking havoc with all of these Infested Terran eggs. He'll be able to take out most of the drones at the third base. It's now an Infestor versus Infestor battle in the mid, and it looks like a single Broodlord gets picked off, but that was half the Broodlord force to begin with, and now it's just a straight-up base trade.
Yeah, this is pretty darn brutal here for Golden to actually deal with. Symbol's up in terms of supply. He's going to have extra firepower. He's going to have extra carapace. So even if a direct engagement came, I mean, Golden knew he couldn't take a direct engagement completely. So he has to go for this. He has to take risks, and he has to try and make it work. But with one Broodlord, it's not really going to help him out too much.
But oh my god, look at this. Look at this wall of spines that Symbol's thrown up in his main base with a giant pack of Infestors on the high ground. funneling down Golden's units. What a sweet play by Symbol. Had the perfect response to this. All Golden can really hope to do is build as many Broodlords as he can and pray that they bring him to victory, but with Hydras parking themselves right underneath, the Broodlords die almost immediately.
Yep, trying to get onto on high ground as well. One of them just gets away barely. The Roaches and Hydras now on the way to try and reinforce this. Golden realizes he needs those Broodlords still alive. But at this point in time, there's not really a whole lot he can hold off from here. Symbol has just such a superior army. Golden, 2-1 in upgrades against 3-2 with 3-3 now about to finish for Symbol. He's going to crush these Roaches and Hydras, and so too will he get that Broodlord if he wants to chase it down.
Gosh, what a nice answer from Symbol. It was that standard. Oh, GG, there it is. The standard, basic, well thought out mid and late game compositions are what are bringing Symbol the continued gain in these matches. I mean, Golden looked kind of shaky in game number 1, but it was a brilliant timing push that let him win. But it seems like Symbol, if it's just a judgment call late game, he has a huge edge.